morning, everyone. This is Nick Donnelly, and I'm here this morning on Continental Soccer TV with Ken Bastin, all the way in Antwerp. Ken, welcome to the CAS podcast.
Good morning, Nick.
If we look at, for example, the Manchester United, they obviously initialized a partnership. How did the partnership with Manchester United, how did that come about, Ken? How did that kind of begin?
I think our president at that moment and the secretary Paul Bistioli he was very fond of English football, and he was a great supporter of Man United. So at one moment he talked with someone from United. Maybe it would be good to bring some young talented boys to Antwerp. At that moment we're in the second division to come and play, because I know it as an under 23 reserve coach. If you're playing in games under 23 or reserves, it's not the same like playing in the first team, because in first team you play for the table, you play for money. So maybe they could progress even more playing in the second division in Royal Antwerp, because there they were playing some official games. So they were talking about with Man United about that. And they agreed. So I think in '98 we signed a contract to be a partnership with Man United. Was something great, because I think we worked about 12, 30, 40 years together with Manchester United, who is one from the most important teams, the greatest clubs in football history. So I think in 98, the first
1998 to 2013, yeah.
And Danny Higginbottom was the first who came from the reserve from Man United and came to play for Royal Antwerp first team. So I remember him as a left back, very good, very strong. So at that moment we were very, very pleased with the partnership.
And so in terms of your father, because I remember speaking to him when I was in Antwerp, and he actually was saying that because he used to look after all of the players when they would come in. So he had he worked a lot with, like, for example, Jonny Evans, and making sure met obviously Jonny Evans' family. And it's interesting when you see these guys coming from a big club. And how did the supporters feel about having these types of kids coming in? And do you think the Man United players, the ones that came, do you think they really learned a lot more about what it was going to take to go from academy football to men's football?
It's like that. That's what I told you. So I think for Manchester United it was very good, and for the boys also, because if you see after that, like boys like Higginbottom, O'Shea, Shawcross, Jonny Evans, they play well in the Premier League. So a lot of other players didn't play enough with us, and they get back after 6 months to the Academy of United, and they play maybe in the lower divisions, League 1, League 2, and a conference like that. That's also a possibility. But most of the players, I think they did well. And at that moment, my father was the team manager, the first official from the first team. So he worked also from I think '95 till 2012-13. So at that time we had the partnership with United. My father was a team manager for Antwerp. So he knew, I think, all of the players. He knew personally. Yeah.
Right. And so, do you think, in terms of the progression of a lot of those players, what players that you've seen in that group do you think that really benefited, that really did the best out of a lot of the players that came?
There were always some type of footballers. I remember the first 6 months that Danny Simpson was with us. It was not so well, and a lot of supporters said, why are they bringing some Danny Simpson from United? Maybe they can bring some players from us, from the under 18. But then the second time he played with Royal Antwerp after 6 months, he became one of the better players. So he has to progress, and then afterwards, if you see the career he made, it was superb. So I think it was good for Royal Antwerp, but I think for the best of all, and for Danny Simpson and for United, it was very good that they were 6 months or 1 year in a project with Royal Antwerp.
And whenever you looked at, like, their kind of relationship and the entire, I suppose, for that 15 years, because 15 years is a lot of time in professional football, Ken. That's a career basically for one player. So when you look at it from that dynamic, and you look at the dynamic between I suppose the kids in the actual Antwerp Academy itself. How did they look through? We've got these players. We're preparing these players because if you look at football from a mercenary point of view, Ken, right? And as a coach, if you're in the academy and you're looking at all these boys coming from one of the biggest clubs in the world, and you're playing for a small team in Belgium called Royal Antwerp at that time, because they were in the second division, right? Not where they are today. And you're looking and you're thinking, how the heck am I going to get into the team with these players coming? You know what I mean? What was the thinking behind that? Do you think?
As I told you, at that moment, our youth academy was not so strong. So most of the guys would not reach the first team. So, and to become it would take 2-3 players a year from Manchester United, that could be also positive for them to watch how they worked, how they played, how they trained, how they lived. So that was also a positive thing for the Royal Antwerp guys. Okay, some of them maybe didn't get a game for the first team because there was a little boy from Manchester United playing his game. But yeah, it's like that in football. And if they want to play, they have to be better. It's very simple.
So if you, I mean, because you know the thing, Ken, that I've always seen ever since, and I think even I've heard even us actually in the last couple of years, you know, and I think that it's interesting because I was speaking to Graham Ricks about this, and because we were kind of having the discussion. He played after he left Arsenal. He went to Le Havre and Cannes in France. And one of the things that he said was he said it was the football that he enjoyed the most was actually on the continent. You know what I mean? And I think that, do you think British players, when they're coming to a place like Belgium, do you think they have a perception that it's going to be easy? Do you think that exists in their minds? Do you think?
I think that's player by player, because everyone has another philosophy. Every player has another character. So maybe they're thinking we're coming now from Manchester United and we're going to Royal Antwerp. We're going to play and score a lot of goals, but it's not like that. It's almost the same when we are playing in the under 23s at Royal Antwerp and we're going to play in the lower divisions. We think, we played 10 years for Royal Antwerp. Now we go there and we score every Sunday 5 goals, but it's not like that in football. You have to work at any level. You have to work. And some guys, like I told you, like Danny Simpson, had it difficult the first 4 or 5 months. He came back and did terrific. Maybe one of the most talented boys we had from Manchester United was Darren Gibson. He was an unbelievable good player, but it wasn't so. He didn't have the character to work a lot. Enough, and that's what our supporters, they want you to fight 95 minutes. And Gibbo was maybe one of the best football players we had from United, but he didn't succeed at Royal Antwerp a lot because. So that's for every player. It's different.
Do you think that was the difference for Manchester United, where whenever they were, I mean, what do you think Sir Alex Ferguson thought of the partnership? Did he see it as a real stepping stone in order for, so if he was, say for example, a kid's leaving Manchester United, he's leaving Manchester United's academy and he's coming to Royal Antwerp, who are there to aid their development, do you think he looked at it as, okay, we send them to Royal Antwerp, get them that experience, they're leaving home for a little bit, and then they're actually going to come back and they'll maybe go to a club in the Championship, for example, in England?
I know Sir Alex was very fond of the partnership with Royal Antwerp. 1-2 times a year he was at our club in Antwerp to talk about the young boys, and he had also 2 assistant trainers who were working for Royal Antwerp, like Andy Welsh and Warren Joyce. They were in our technical staff on the first team. They worked also with the first team manager together, and they tried to help the young English players. So it was very, he saw the difference because boys like Evans, Higginbottom, and O'Shea and things like that, they came back. Like a kid, they came to Royal Antwerp and they came back a little stronger, and they could make the step to the first team of United. So one time I was with my father in the car and he spoke with him, and it was very positive about the partnership with Royal Antwerp.
Right. Okay. So in terms of as you looked at it, so obviously as we kind of fast forward and we actually go through the players that they developed, were you surprised when a lot of those players did leave Belgium? I suppose because it's the reason why I brought it up is because if you look at English players coming to play abroad, and you're seeing that more and more now, Ken. For example, I think it's Kemar Roof. In fact, I've spoken to him a few times. He's obviously went to Anderlecht. He left Leeds.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
why do you not think it's actually a great thing for young players to come to places like Belgium? You know what I mean? Because I think the Belgium league compared to the Eredivisie, to me, it's a you know what I mean. If you look at the level, it's a different type of style. What do you think? Why do you think it's a good thing for for example, a British player or a non-EU player to come to Belgium? What are the positives and the negatives of that?
I think like positive is that the young English boys, they come to Belgium or like to Holland, and there's a very good foundation of youth football in Belgium and Holland. So there's a philosophy in a lot of teams. So I don't know how it is in big teams like United or Spurs or Chelsea. I don't know how it is or City in England, because I've never been there to watch the youth academy. But there's a vision in Belgium and in Holland, and we're trying to bring the young kids to bring them to a higher level. So at that moment, it could be, if they have the right character, it could be a positive thing for them to come over to Belgium or Holland.
Right, and so whenever you look at, for example, because obviously you're seeing it obviously in Germany, you're seeing it across the board. Whenever you're looking at a trialist, Ken, so kind of coming off that, what are you looking? So if a trialist comes to, for example, to Royal Antwerp now, what do you really what things should a trialist be looking to do when he comes in the first day? What are you really looking at him to come and impress you before you can go to like Paul Geisen, so the technical director, and say, hey, you know, this is a good player? What are your thoughts on that?
For the last 3 years, I'm responsible for the players who come on trial for first and second team at Royal Antwerp. So they always train in second team, and then we have to see how they are, and then bring a report to Sven Jacques, the sportive director, and Luciano Donofrio, who's the CEO of the club. So what they have to do? First of all, they have to be the right persons. That means the good character, and then to be normal. And second of all, that's made by a sportive thing. They have to bring some extra quality. We had maybe 50 players now the last 2, 3 years in for a trial, and I think we only signed 2 or 3 because the 47 other ones, we have the same players with us. So they have to bring something special if they want to get into our club. They have to bring it's like that. When they're on the field and we say after 10, no, not 10 minutes, but after 30 minutes, we know already it's good or it's not good. You can see it on the base, how they take the ball, how they kick a ball, how they pass the ball, the passing and movement. You can see those things immediately. And then in the games we do, or in the position games, then maybe we have already the clue if they're good enough to our team. But they have to bring something special to our group, and then we can say, okay, that boy has something. He's a strong defender, or is a good running midfielder, or he's a striker who touches one time the ball and it's into the net. So that extra quality, it's always quality. It's like that. So you find good character.
So you find, like, in terms of, have you seen players come in? They've started well, but then their performance has just dipped. It's dipped on. Yeah. So in a trial, Ken, because I've always said, and listen, I understand a kid might come in and he might do start off well, but do you think though that because young kids are inconsistent? Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah, of course, it's not simple. It's not simple to come on a trial. When they come to Royal Antwerp, they're 5, 6, 7 days, small week. We're making the report, and then we see yes or no, or maybe another trial. We have to see that. We discuss with the board. But it's not simple because most of the time they go to the hotel, they sleep, someone brings them to the club, they train with us, they go back to the hotel, and then it's not their normal life. Then they have to bring that 4 or 5 days. They have to bring something that we want to see because they want to come to the club. So they're in a little bit. There's some stress. There's a little bit of stress, and that's normal. But if they want to come on a trial to a club like Royal Antwerp, in those 5, 6, 7 days, they have to let us see that they are better than our players, and then we can talk about something.
And it's interesting because when players come, right, they kind of, and I think that I definitely find in the UK, in the system that I've grown up in, and I've definitely found that in Belgium, Holland, and Germany, your standards in the youth are actually higher than the UK because you don't have the same luxury to replace players. So the standards are obviously much higher. Like what you've just said, a lot of these players that played for Manchester United, they came to Royal Antwerp, they thought it would be a stroll, and they've come to find out, no, the standards are actually very, very high.
Of course.
When they're making the transition, you know what I mean? So obviously when we look at like the partnership then with Manchester United, so why was it ended, Ken? Why was the partnership with Manchester United? Why did that come to like an abrupt end?
I'm not sure because I was not in the meeting, but it was always the same. At one moment we were playing in the second division for the championship. I think we were 10 points up. We were playing with Fraser Campbell, Fanju Don, all good players for United. And in the winter, I think we had to win another 10 games and we were champion. We came to the Premier League in Belgium. And in the winter, they took them back to United because they had some surgeries and things like that. So they took our 2-3 best players back to United because, okay, they were United players. They were just on loan for 6 months and then maybe another 6 months. But at that moment, it stopped during the season. So we lost our 3 good players, and at that moment we didn't play champion. So maybe that was one of the reasons. They brought some players and they did well, and I think that the first 10 years it was good and bring some good level players. The last 2-3 years, the level from the players who came was not so strong anymore. It was more like in the beginning they were players from the first team of Man United, but maybe number 23, 24, 25. But that was okay. They were training with Beckham and Scholes and Giggs and things like that. They came to Antwerp. They brought something. After 5-6 years, it were the players from the reserves, from the under-23s. They came. Okay, that was good. Also, good talented boys. But I think in the end, it were more like the under-18 players who were coming to Antwerp. And then they had to play. And at that moment, I think it was all. It was finished, I think.
And the thing is that it's funny. I spoke to one of the players that actually came to Royal Antwerp. His name was Luke McGivern. He's a Manchester lad who played for Manchester United, and apparently he told me Royal Antwerp actually they wanted to actually sign him, but I think he ended up going to, I think it was FC Emmen in Holland. They were in the Dutch Jupiler League. And he was going to then he went back to Manchester United, and he had a chance to sign for both of those clubs. Then he went back to Manchester United, released him, and then literally he couldn't. Then he had no club when he could have actually signed, and he was released by Sir Alex Ferguson. So, do you not think Man United should maybe have thought, maybe it'd be good for us to maybe then have where they could have had a philosophy of moving the player on if he wasn't good enough for Manchester United, that he could have signed, that Royal Antwerp had the option.
Yeah, that would be, if you have a partnership, it should be like that.
Ken, we really appreciate your time today. It's been a real learning curve for me. You know what I mean? Just to listen to a lot of the stuff that you're obviously talking about.
I'd like one time to come over to the CES and talk about with everything about football and maybe give some class. I'd like to.
Absolutely, yeah, no, absolutely. We'll look forward to having you, and I think obviously working with a lot of our coaching team, like, you know what I mean. I think it'll be really, really good. So if anybody wants to come out and learn from Ken will be running coaching clinic with Graham Ricks, the legendary Chelsea coach who's worked with Gianluca Vialli. In fact, we're actually going to be doing a coaching clinic with obviously Luca Vialli, Graham Ricks, and Ken Bastin, along with Michael Dewberry, former Chelsea centre half. So I think there's going to be a lot of good stuff. So anybody that wants to know more about that can definitely get in touch with us. You can also visit our website, www.continentalaspiresoccer.com, and also to learn more about Ken when he obviously will come out, and we'll be doing a Q&A as well. So Ken, thank you so much for your time today. It's been great, and we'll catch up very soon.
Okay, everybody stay healthy in the UK, and hope to see you one time.